A culture that is analytically mature has a couple characteristics. The first is, right now a lot of organizations have this 10-90 methodology. And what that is 10% of the analyst time is actually spent analyzing, 90% is spent merging, manipulating, living and dying by their VLOOKUPs. We want to shift that mentality, and that is a trait of that organization, to 90-10. So 90% analysis and a very small percent is spent doing really inefficient stuff. The second thing is they don't rely on gut instinct to drive decision making. Whenever we're still leveraging our gut, we're at the scope now where that's probably not the most efficient solution. So using data to actually make effective decisions, that's a crucial thing. And then lastly, that shift in mentality from a reactive state, so something happens, how do we try to quickly adjust, to proactive. We think this will happen, or we are seeing a trend in this happening, so how do we now shift our mentality to address it before it becomes a problem? So those are the three traits I would boil it down to. There's always those people, I like to say, that there's always the one, you might be a good example of this, the one individual in an organization that everybody loves. And there's also those few people in the organization that you know you're going to have some friction points with. Those two groups of people are really strong candidates for the champions of culture. On the one that everybody loves and the friendly, the bubbly personality, you want to help those people, because if they have a problem that is solved by you and your team within the analytics department, they are going to talk about it constantly. And it will spread like wildfire, like gossip. That becomes that. And then on the sort of the antithesis of that, the opposite, is those individuals that are a little bit more frictional to some of the change. So if you can help overcome those friction points, not only do you have the benefit of the people that now we're going to drive a lot of your growth internally with analytics because you help them and they're the bubbly, the friendly, they're going to be everybody's friend, but you've also identified those potential pain points for some individuals that are going to be a little bit more frictional. And you've essentially established champions and eliminated friction points, which from a progress standpoint makes a much smoother path. When we talk about milestones, it's this practice what you preach idea. So if we're telling our organization that we need to be quantifiable with everything throughout this process, we as an analytics team have to establish those milestones as well, because it's our gauge towards our success or failure. So I would look at things like, and some of them are a little bit more qualitative, which I don't personally like, but as we're sitting there in executive meetings and as the decision-making process, are we using our gut instinct? That's not that ideal, right? But then also look at these milestones from a efficiency standpoint. Are we eliminating those manual points, that 10-90, that 90% of manual and inefficient processes? Are we removing those? Those are milestones that we can establish by saying, here's our benchmark, and let's chunk away at them, 25%, now 50%. And what that does is it gives us a path, not only from a technical perspective, but also to sit there and say, now we're getting the adoption, we're starting to see the things that we want to have from a cultural standpoint, which again, from the presentation we were talking about today, technology is arguably the easy part. The change management is the hard part. So those milestones help measure our progress towards success with that change management process. The best thing about AXFI is after every presentation, I get swarmed with people asking questions. And it's not just this purely scripted presentation and people just go, they get their education, they walk out and leave. So the back and forth I really like, and it's been fun to see sort of this grow a little bit and expand from the first time I was here, I think it was maybe 80 to 100 people in October in Minneapolis, which luckily we're not doing Minneapolis in October anymore, to now it's almost 300 people. You have such a broad geographic and demographic base from the different asset sizes and membership, different areas, and it's very interesting because people are so willing to share. And I don't feel weird about asking questions about, well, how are you guys doing with this? People are willing to share, and that's been great, because as much as it's an education session for the people that hopefully find what we talk about educational, it's educational for me to learn from their experiences and frankly to continue to improve on what we're trying to do.